What if Rimuru was God? The world ended. Before it even began. Satoru Mikami didn't understand it at first. One moment. He was walking. Talking. Living. The next. Pain. Sharp. Cold. Final. Ah. He looked down. Blood. Spreading. Too fast. Too much. His body wouldn't respond. His legs gave out. The ground rushed up to meet him. Seriously, he whispered. Everything started fading. Sounds muffled. Vision dimming. The world slipping away piece by piece. He wasn't scared. Not really. Just frustrated. This is how it ends. A weak laugh escaped him. I didn't even get to. His voice cut off. Darkness crept in. And in that final moment, a thought. Not loud. Not desperate. But real. I wish. A pause. This didn't happen. The darkness deepened. I just wanted to live. Another pause. In a perfect world. Silence. Then. Notice, unique condition detected. His fading consciousness paused. What? A voice. Not human. Not emotional. Not alive. But listening. Wish acknowledged. Everything stopped. Time. Thought. Death itself. Wait, what do you mean acknowledged? Processing? The darkness around him began to shift. Not lifting. Not disappearing. Changing. New directive applied, eternal existence. New directive applied, perfect world initialization. Hold on. Too late. Everything shattered. Not violently. Not painfully. Like a reset. And then. Silence. Rebirth. He woke up. No pain. No weight. No body. What? He couldn't feel his arms. Couldn't feel his legs. Couldn't even breathe. Am I dead? Answer, no. Then what am I? Answer, you have been successfully reincarnated. A pause. Into what? Silence. Then. Slime? You've got to be kidding me. But something felt off. Not weak. Not confused. Different. He couldn't see. But he could sense. Everything. The cave. The magicules. The space around him. And more. Much more. This is weird. He moved slightly. His body, if you could even call it that, shifted smoothly across the ground. Okay. I guess I'm really a slime. But then, something deeper stirred. Not a skill. Not a function. Power. Raw. Endless. What is this? It didn't feel like something he gained. It felt like something that was always there. Like the world itself. Was built around him. The first sign. He absorbed a small rock. Instinctively. Normally. That should have been simple. Basic. But instead, the entire structure of the rock unfolded instantly in his mind. Every particle. Every detail. Every possibility. Okay, that's not normal. Notice, absolute analysis activated. Absolute, what? Before he could question it. The cave shifted. Not physically. But energetically. Something reacted to him. Something ancient. Something powerful. And then. A voice. Loud. Ancient. Overwhelming. Who dares enter my domain? The cave trembled. Magicule surged violently. But Rimuru didn't feel fear. He felt calm. Oh, so this is happening already. A massive presence descended. Veldora Tempest. The Storm Dragon. Power incarnate. A being feared across the world. And yet, the moment Veldora saw him, everything stopped. Silence. What are you? Veldora asked. Not angry. Not dominant. Confused. Rimuru tilted slightly. I'm a slime. Silence. Veldora stared. No. He felt him. And what he felt didn't make sense. That power. Rimuru blinked. Power? Veldora stepped closer. Slowly. Carefully. You're not just a slime. The cave shook again. But not from Veldora. From Rimuru. Without him even realizing it. His presence expanded. For a brief moment. Veldora felt it. And in that moment, he understood. This is impossible. Rimuru tilted again. What is? Veldora lowered his head slightly. Eyes locked onto Rimuru. You're above me. Silence. Who? Rimuru said. Veldora's voice dropped. Serious. Respectful. You're on the level of a true demon lord. A pause. No. Another step forward. Something even beyond that. Rimuru froze. Wait, what? But Veldora didn't laugh. Didn't joke. Instead, he knelt. The Storm Dragon, one of the strongest beings in existence, lowered his head. I have made my decision. Rimuru's thoughts stopped completely. Wait, what are you doing? Veldora spoke. Calm. Certain. Allow me to serve you. Silence. Rimuru's mind raced. Serve me. Veldora didn't move. I will follow you. A pause. As your servant. The cave fell completely silent. Rimuru stared. This has to be a joke. But deep down, he knew it wasn't. Because something inside him accepted it. Like it was natural. Like it was always meant to happen. If I say yes? Veldora didn't hesitate. I will belong to you. A pause. Completely. Rimuru hesitated. Just for a second. Then. Fine. The moment the word left his mouth, everything changed. The contract. The world itself reacted. A symbol formed between them. Ancient. Powerful. Unbreakable. Servant contract established. Veldora's body glowed. Then. Stabilized. His aura. Changed. No longer wild. Controlled. Aligned. With Rimuru. Veldora slowly lifted his head. My lord. Rimuru froze. Okay, that's new. But then. He felt it. Not just Veldora. The world. Responding. Waiting. For him. What did I just become? No answer came. Because the truth had only just begun. The cave didn't feel the same anymore. It wasn't just a place. It felt like it was watching. Rimuru Tempest stayed still for a moment. Processing. Not like before. Not like a normal thought. Everything came instantly. Led. Perfectly organized. Okay, Rimuru said slowly. Let's just go over what just happened. Behind him. Veldora Tempest remained kneeling. Head lowered. Completely still. You're still doing that? Rimuru asked. Yes. No hesitation. No doubt. Rimuru paused. You know you don't have to, right? I do. Rimuru blinked. Why? A short silence. Then. Because I recognize what you are. The cave trembled slightly. Not violently. But in response. Rimuru felt it again. That same presence. And what exactly am I? Rimuru asked. Veldora slowly lifted his head. But not fully. Not enough to meet Rimuru's level. Something the world itself answers to. Silence. Yeah, okay, that doesn't help at all, Rimuru said. But deep down, that answer felt right. Not understandable. Not logical. But right. Testing reality. Rimuru moved. Slowly sliding across the cave floor. All right, if I'm really that strong. He paused. Then let's test it. He focused. Not on a skill. Not on a command. Just a thought. Move. The cave responded. Not the ground. Not the rocks. The magicules. They shifted instantly. Aligning. Gathering. Forming. Okay, Rimuru whispered. That's new. Notice, absolute authority detected. I didn't activate anything, Rimuru said. Response, you did not need to. A pause. What does that mean? Response, your will is sufficient. Silence. Rimuru stopped moving completely. So I don't use skills anymore? Response, skills use you. That sounds backwards. Response, it is correct. Rimuru didn't respond. Because something clicked. So instead of me controlling power. A pause. Power just listens. No response. Because it didn't need one. The first distortion. Rimuru focused again. This time. On something simple. Light. The cave lit up instantly. Not glowing. Not shining. Illuminated. Perfectly. No source. No delay. Just done. That's not magic, Rimuru said. Veldora spoke. It's not. Rimuru turned slightly. Then what is it? Veldora's voice lowered. It's command. Silence. You're not casting spells. A pause. You're deciding reality. Rimuru froze. No. But again. That feeling. That same truth. That's not possible. The cave trembled again. Response, it is? Something else is watching. Far away. Beyond the cave. Beyond the forest. Beyond even the visible world. Something noticed. Not a person. Not a creature. A system. Ancient. Silent. And it reacted. Back in the cave. Rimuru turned back to Veldora. Okay, let's say you're right. Veldora didn't respond. Why would you serve me? A pause. Then. Because I understand survival. Rimuru tilted slightly. What? Veldora's eye sharpened. If something greater appears. A pause. You either resist it. Another pause. Or you follow it. Silence. And you chose to follow me? Rimuru asked. Yes. Instant. No hesitation. You didn't even try to fight me. Veldora's voice didn't change. I did. Rimuru froze. When? Veldora looked at him. The moment I saw you. Silence. And a pause. I lost. The cave went completely still. Because that wasn't metaphor. That was truth. The contract deepens. Rimuru felt it again. That connection. Not just Veldora. Something more. What is this? Rimuru whispered. The symbol between them flickered. Expanded. Then locked. Servant link stabilized. Rimuru's awareness widened. Suddenly, he could feel Veldora. Not his body. His existence. His power. His thoughts. Wait, what? Rimuru said. Veldora didn't react. You can feel it too, right? Yes. This is weird. Yes. Why are you so calm about this? Because it is correct. Rimuru paused. I don't like how you keep saying that. The first expansion. Rimuru moved again. This time. Toward the deeper parts of the cave. Let's see how far this goes. He didn't absorb anything. Didn't analyze anything. He simply looked. And everything revealed itself. Minerals. Creatures. Energy flows. Hidden paths. All of it. Instantly. This is broken, Rimuru said. Veldora followed. Still behind. Still respectful. You're not discovering things? A pause. You're remembering them. Rimuru stopped. I've never been here before. Veldora's voice dropped. That doesn't matter. Silence. Then what does? A pause. You. The world begins to change. Outside the cave. The forest shifted. Creatures stopped moving. Magicules aligned. Something new existed now. And everything felt it. Back inside. Rimuru reached a deeper chamber. This is where it should happen. He didn't know how he knew. But he did. Veldora. Yes. What happens if I say something bigger? Veldora didn't hesitate. Then it happens. Rimuru paused. Okay then. A breath. Let's test that. He focused. Not on the cave. Not on himself. On the world. Connect. Everything went silent. Then. It answered. And for the first time. Rimuru felt it. Not just the cave. Not just the forest. The world. All of it. No way, Rimuru whispered. Veldora lowered his head again. My lord? Because now. There was no doubt. The moment Rimuru said it. The world answered. Not slowly. Not partially. Completely. Rimuru Tempest didn't just feel the cave anymore. He felt everything. The forest above. The creatures within it. The magicules flowing through the air. The ground beneath miles away. Even things he had never seen. Never touched. Were now known. This is too much, Rimuru said quietly. But it wasn't overwhelming. That was the strange part. It was natural. Like this was how things were always supposed to be. Behind him. Veldora Tempest remained still. Head lowered again. Because now. There was no doubt. You've connected to it, Veldora said. To what? Rimuru asked. A pause. Everything. Silence. That's not funny. It is not a joke. Rimuru didn't respond. Because he could feel it. Every movement. Every life. Every change. And then. Something new. Something distant. Something powerful. Not like Veldora. Different. What is that? Rimuru whispered. Far away. Deep within the forest. A group of wolves stopped moving. Their bodies froze. Their instincts screamed. Because something had just noticed them. The leader stepped forward. Wronger. What is this pressure? He growled. It wasn't killing intent. It wasn't hostility. It was awareness. We are being watched. The entire pack lowered themselves instinctively. Not out of fear. Out of recognition. Back in the cave. Rimuru stepped forward again. Slow. Controlled. I didn't do anything, he said. You did, Veldora replied. How? You existed. Silence. That's not an answer. It is the only one. The first visitors. Suddenly. The cave shifted. Not violently. But something entered. A presence. Several. Rimuru turned. Creatures stood at the entrance. Goblins. Weak. Scared. Shaking. But they didn't run. They dropped. Immediately. On their knees. What? Rimuru said. The leader stepped forward. Rigid. Great one, he said, voice trembling. Rimuru froze. No, stop calling me that. But Rigid didn't move. We felt it. Felt what? A pause. You. The cave went silent. You came here because of me? Rimuru asked. Yes. Why? Another pause. Because we must. Must. Rigid lowered his head further. To survive. Silence. Rimuru looked back at Veldora. You're telling me this is happening everywhere? Yes. Instant. You're influencing everything around you. Rimuru turned back to the goblins. I didn't ask for that. Rigid didn't respond. Because it didn't matter. The first submission. Rimuru stepped closer. What do you want? The goblins didn't hesitate. Allow us to serve you. Silence. Rimuru blinked. Again? Veldora spoke. It begins. What begins? Veldora's voice lowered. Your rule. Rimuru stepped back slightly. I don't want to rule anything. The goblins didn't move. Didn't look up. That does not matter. Yes, it does. But again. That feeling. That same truth. The world didn't care what he wanted. It responded to what he was. The choice. Rimuru looked at them. At Veldora. At everything. If I say yes. The goblins spoke together. We will belong to you. Silence. Rimuru hesitated. Not long. But enough. Fine. The moment he said it. Everything reacted. The second contract. A symbol formed again. Larger. Stronger. It spread across the ground. Across the goblins. Across the cave. Servant contract established. The goblins' bodies changed. Not dramatically. But their presence. Stabilized. Strengthened. Aligned. With Rimuru. Rigid lifted his head slightly. My lord. Rimuru sighed. Okay, I really need to get used to that. The truth begins to show. Rimuru turned. Looking deeper into the cave. Then outward. How many? Veldora answered before he finished. All of them. All of what? Everything that feels you. Silence. You're telling me this isn't stopping? No. Even if I want it to. No. Rimuru stood still. Because now he understood. This wasn't about becoming stronger. This wasn't about survival. This wasn't even about control. This was something else. Something far beyond that. I didn't just reincarnate, Rimuru whispered. Veldora lowered his head again. No. A pause. You replace something. The cave went completely silent. Because even the world agreed. The cave was no longer quiet. Not because of noise, but because of presence. Rimuru Tempest stood still for a moment, looking at the goblins, then at Veldora Tempest behind him. Okay, Rimuru said slowly. We need to figure this out. No one moved. Because no one needed to move. They were waiting. For him. Rimuru looked at the goblins again. Still kneeling. Still not moving. You can stand up, he said. They didn't. That wasn't a suggestion. Instantly. They stood. Rimuru blinked. Yeah, that's going to take some getting used to. Rigid stepped forward carefully. Head still slightly lowered. My lord, what are your orders? Silence. Orders? Rimuru repeated. Yes. I don't. Rimuru paused. Because the moment he was about to say, I don't have any, something inside him responded. Not thoughts. Direction. We build, Rimuru said. The words came out before he fully processed them. The goblins immediately reacted. Yes. Rimuru blinked. Wait, hold on. I didn't even explain. But they were already moving. The first step of a kingdom. Rimuru followed them out of the cave. The moment he stepped outside, the world shifted again. The forest stilled. Creatures froze. Every living thing within range felt him. Okay, this is getting out of hand, Rimuru muttered. Veldora stepped behind him. This is only the beginning. Yeah, I figured that part out. The goblins began clearing space immediately. Cutting trees. Moving debris. Preparing land. But something was off. They were working. Too efficiently. Too perfectly. Why are they moving like that? Rimuru asked. Veldora answered calmly. Because they are aligned with you. That doesn't explain anything. Your will organizes them. Rimuru froze. I'm not telling them what to do. You don't need to. Silence. That's not normal. You are not normal. The first creation. Rimuru stepped forward. Looking at the cleared land. If we're building. He paused. Then we should do it properly. He focused. Not on magic. On outcome. Structures. The ground responded. Not rising violently. Not shifting randomly. It formed. Clean. Precise. Perfect. Wood aligned itself. Stone placed itself. Path shaped instantly. Within seconds. A small settlement stood where nothing existed before. Complete. Rimuru stared. Okay, that's definitely broken. The goblins dropped to their knees again. Incredible. A god. He created it? No, stop that. Rimuru said quickly. But Veldora spoke behind him. Accept it. Rimuru turned slightly. I'm not a god. Veldora didn't hesitate. The world disagrees. Silence. Naming begins. Rigid stepped forward again. My lord, we are yours, but we are still weak. Rimuru nodded slightly. Yeah. I noticed. Grant us strength. Rimuru paused. You want names. They didn't respond. But their eyes said everything. All right. Rimuru stepped forward. You're Rigid. The moment the name landed, power surged. Not from Rimuru. From everywhere. Rigid's body changed. Stronger. Taller. Stabilized. His presence shifted completely. My lord, Rigid said, voice deeper now. Rimuru blinked. Yeah, that's new. Chain reaction. One by one. Rimuru named them. And each time, the world responded. Not like before. Stronger. Faster. More refined. The goblins evolved rapidly. Becoming something more. Aligned. Perfectly. The realization. Rimuru stepped back. Watching everything. This isn't just naming. Veldora nodded slightly. You're rewriting them. That's not how naming works. For you, it is. Silence. The land changes. The forest wasn't the same anymore. Creatures no longer roamed freely. They watched. Waited. Then, one stepped forward. A wolf. Then another. Then the entire pack. Ronga stepped ahead of them. Without hesitation. He dropped. We submit. Rimuru didn't even react this time. He just sighed. Of course you do. The pattern is set. Rimuru looked around. The land. The people. The creatures. Everything. Responding to him. Not because he commanded it. But because of what he was. This isn't going to stop, Rimuru said quietly. Veldora answered. No. Even if I want it to. No. Silence. Rimuru looked forward. At the growing settlement. At the beings already calling him Lord. At the world already changing around him. Then we do it properly. The air shifted. Because this time, that wasn't instinct. That was decision. If this world wants a ruler, a pause, then I'll build one worth following. Behind him, every single being lowered themselves. Not out of fear. Out of certainty. My lord. And just like that, a kingdom was born. The village didn't grow. It expanded. Not slowly. Not naturally. Perfectly. Rimuru Tempest stood at the center of it all, watching. Houses weren't being built anymore. They were forming. Paths aligned themselves. Water redirected itself. Even the trees seemed to move just enough to make space. Okay, Rimuru muttered. This isn't normal building. Behind him, Veldora Tempest, now in human form, stood calmly, watching everything with quiet certainty. It is efficient, Veldora said. That's not the word I'd use, Rimuru replied. Then what word would you use? Rimuru paused. Watching a structure finish forming on its own. Unfair. Veldora smirked slightly. That is also correct. Growth without effort. The goblins moved, but they weren't leading anymore. They were following something invisible. Guidance. Not spoken. Not commanded. Felt. Rigid approached again, stronger now, more confident. My lord? Rimuru didn't even turn this time. Yeah? More are coming. Rimuru sighed. Of course they are. The next wave. From the edge of the forest. More figures appeared. Not goblins. Larger. Heavier. Orcs. Their steps slowed the moment they crossed into Rimuru's presence. Then, they stopped. Their leader stepped forward. Eyes wide. This pressure. He dropped. Immediately. We submit. Rimuru face-palmed. I didn't even say anything this time. Veldora answered calmly. You don't need to anymore. The pattern evolves. Rimuru stepped forward. Looking at the orcs. You came here on your own. Yes. Why? A pause. We felt you. Yeah, I'm starting to notice that's a problem. But it wasn't a problem. Not really. Because everything that came. Submitted. The land reacts. Rimuru looked outward. Further this time. How far does this go? He focused. Not trying. Just letting it happen. And the world opened again. Further. Wider. Villages. Rivers. Creatures miles away. Even the sky? Felt closer. This is insane, Rimuru whispered. Veldora lowered his head slightly. You are expanding. I'm not doing anything. You are existing. Silence. I'm starting to hate that answer. Building becomes creation. Rimuru turned back to the village. We need order. The moment he said it, everything aligned. The street straightened. The buildings adjusted. The flow of movement became perfect. Even the people moved with purpose. I didn't mean it like that, Rimuru said. But it was too late. Hierarchy forms. Rigid stepped forward again. My lord, allow us to organize under you. You already are, Rimuru said. We wish to formalize it. Rimuru paused. Okay, go ahead. Instantly. The goblins separated. Formations. Roles. Leaders. The orcs followed. Even the wolves positioned themselves. Rimuru stared. This is happening way too fast. Veldora spoke. They are adapting to you. Or I'm forcing them to. There is no difference. The first real question. Rimuru stepped away from the crowd. Looking out at everything he had created. What happens if I stop? Silence. Veldora didn't answer immediately. You won't. Why not? A pause. Because this is what you are. Rimuru didn't respond. Because that answer felt true. Something bigger moves. Far beyond the forest. Something shifted. Not arriving. Not appearing. Watching. Because now, Rimuru's existence wasn't hidden anymore. Back in the village. Rimuru exhaled slowly. All right. He turned back. If this keeps growing. A pause. Then we do it right. The air shifted again. This time. Not by instinct. By intention. We build a nation. Every being present. Drop to one knee. Yes, my lord. Rimuru didn't even react this time. Because now. He expected it. The village didn't feel like a village anymore. It felt complete. Not finished. Not growing. Perfect. Rimuru Tempest stood at the center, looking over everything. Goblins moved with purpose. Orcs worked without hesitation. Wolves patrolled silently. Nothing was disorganized. Nothing was wasted. This is too smooth, Rimuru said quietly. Behind him, Veldora Tempest, in human form, watched with a faint smile. It is efficient, Veldora replied. You keep saying that like it's normal. For you, it is. Rimuru exhaled. Yeah, that's what worries me. Beyond the land. Rimuru stepped forward. Past the buildings. Past the people. To the edge of the settlement. This isn't just about here anymore. He looked out into the forest. Then further. How far can I reach? He didn't activate anything. Didn't think of a skill. He just focused. And instantly, the world opened. Wider than before. Faster than before. Deeper than before. He didn't just feel the forest now. He felt beyond it. Rivers bending miles away. Mountains standing unmoving. Creatures hunting. Sleeping. Watching. Everything. Connected. Okay, Rimuru whispered. This is getting ridiculous. Veldora's voice came calmly behind him. You are extending your domain. I didn't choose to do that. You did not need to. Silence. The first limit test. Rimuru raised his hand slightly. What if I push it further? The air tightened. The ground beneath him didn't crack. It listened. Expand. The moment he said it, the forest reacted. Not violently. Perfectly. Trees shifted. Paths formed. Energy aligned. And then it stopped. Rimuru blinked. Wait. That's it. Veldora tilted his head slightly. You expected resistance. Yeah? You will not find it. Silence. The realization. Rimuru lowered his hand slowly. So there's no limit. Not one you have reached. That's not comforting. It is not meant to be. Rimuru stood still. Because now, he understood something new. He hadn't found resistance yet. But that didn't mean it didn't exist. There has to be something that pushes back. Veldora didn't answer. Because at that exact moment, something did. The first resistance. Far above. Something shifted. Not in the sky. Beyond it. Not in the world. Outside it. And it noticed him. Back on the ground. Rimuru froze. What was that? For the first time. His connection flickered. Just slightly. Like something had brushed against it. Something foreign. Did you feel that? Rimuru asked. Veldora's expression changed. Just slightly. Yes. What was it? A pause. Something that should not be interacting with you. Silence. That doesn't sound good. It is not. The world hesitates. For the first time, the village slowed. Not stopped. But hesitated. Creatures paused. Movement slowed. Like the world itself. Was unsure. Rimuru looked up. So I'm not the only thing out there. Veldora lowered his head slightly. No. The choice to push forward. Rimuru stood still for a moment. Thinking. Not like before. Not instantly. Actually thinking. If something's watching. A pause. Then it's already too late to hide. The air shifted again. But this time, it wasn't automatic. It was intentional. So let it watch. The ground responded. The sky seemed to clear. The entire area stabilized. The declaration without words. Rimuru didn't shout. Didn't command. But the message spread anyway. Through the land. Through the air. Through everything connected to him. This is mine. Every being felt it. Every creature responded. And far beyond. Whatever had noticed him. Paused. Back in the village. Rimuru turned. Looking at everything he had built. This isn't just a kingdom anymore. Veldora nodded. No. A pause. It is a domain. Silence. Rimuru exhaled slowly. Then we make it stronger. Every being in the village dropped again. Yes, my lord. But this time, it felt different. Not just obedience. Certainty. The world didn't announce it. It reacted. Quietly. Subtly. But everywhere. Rimuru Tempest stood at the edge of his growing domain, eyes focused outward. He wasn't looking at the forest anymore. He was looking beyond it. They felt that, Rimuru said quietly. Behind him, Veldora Tempest stood calmly. Yes. How many? A pause. All of them. Silence. Great. Elsewhere. Far from the forest. Far from Tempest. A presence stirred. Milim Nova suddenly stopped mid-motion. Her eyes widened slightly. What is that? The air around her trembled, not violently, but unnaturally. That's not normal magicules. She tilted her head slightly. That feels bigger. A slow grin formed. Finally, something interesting. Another location. In a silent, dimly lit chamber. Guy Crimson sat still. Eyes closed. But the moment the shift reached him, they opened. So it's begun. No surprise. No confusion. Only recognition. Someone new. A pause. Or something else entirely. Back to Rimuru. Rimuru stood still. So these demon lords. He turned slightly. They're strong, right? Veldora didn't hesitate. Yes. Stronger than you. A pause. Before. Rimuru blinked. Before. Veldora's voice lowered slightly. Not anymore. Silence. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. The first reaction. Back in the village. The air shifted again. But this time, it wasn't coming from Rimuru. It was approaching. Fast. Something's coming, Rimuru said. Veldora didn't move. Yes. Friend or problem? That depends. Impact. The sky cracked. Not split. Not broken. Distorted. Then. She appeared. Landing hard. Ground shattering beneath her. Magicules surging outward. Milim Nova. She stood there. Looking around. Then. At Rimuru. Silence. So it's you, Milim said. Rimuru blinked. Hi? She stared at him. Longer than expected. You're weird. I get that a lot today. Milim stepped closer. No fear. No hesitation. You don't feel like anything I've ever met. Rimuru shrugged slightly. Yeah, I'm starting to notice that. The first test. Milim's eyes sharpened slightly. So. A pause. Are you actually strong? Rimuru sighed. I don't even know anymore. Then I'll check. She moved. Instantly. Faster than anything that had happened so far. Appearing directly in front of Rimuru. Punch already thrown. Nothing happened. Her fist stopped. Not blocked. Not caught. Stopped. Like reality itself said no. Milim's eyes widened. What? Rimuru looked at her fist. I didn't do that. Veldora spoke quietly behind him. You did. The shift. Milim stepped back. For the first time. She hesitated. That wasn't normal. Rimuru rubbed his head slightly. Yeah, welcome to my life right now. Milim stared at him. Then. She smiled. I like you. Rimuru blinked. That was fast. The turning point. Milim took a step forward. Then she stopped. Completely. Her body froze. Her expression shifted. And then, slowly, she lowered herself. Kneeling. The air went completely still. No way, Rimuru said. Veldora lowered his head as well. It begins. Milim spoke. I've made my decision. Rimuru stared. Why does everyone keep saying that? She looked up slightly. You're above us. Silence. That's not how this works, Rimuru said. It is now. Another contract. The symbol appeared again. Larger. Brighter. Heavier. The ground cracked beneath it. Reality tightened. Servant contract initiated. Rimuru stepped back slightly. Wait, hold on. Too late. Milim smiled. I'll follow you. The symbol locked. Servant contract established. The air exploded outward. Her power changed. Not weaker. Refined. Aligned. With him. Far away. Guy Crimson stood. So even she bowed. A slow smile formed. This is going to be interesting. Back in Tempest. Rimuru stood there. Looking at Milim. Then Veldora. Then his entire growing domain. This is getting out of control. But deep down, he knew the truth. It wasn't out of control. It was becoming exactly what it was meant to be. The world didn't stay quiet after that. It couldn't. Because the moment Milim Nova knelt, everything changed. Not just in the forest. Not just in Rimuru's domain. Everywhere. Far away. In a crimson-lit chamber. Guy Crimson stood still. His smile had faded. So it's confirmed. The air around him trembled slightly. He's not just strong. A pause. He's above the system. He took a step forward. Then there's only one outcome. Silence. We follow. Another domain. Leon Cromwell stood at a balcony, staring outward. That pressure. His eyes narrowed. It's absolute. A long pause. This isn't a threat. Another pause. This is authority. He turned. Prepare. But not for war. For submission. Back in Tempest. Rimuru stood in the center of it all. Milim beside him. Veldora behind him. An entire nation before him. This is getting ridiculous, Rimuru Tempest muttered. Milim smiled slightly. You're just realizing that. I realized it like 20 minutes ago. The expansion. The land kept growing. Not outward violently. But perfectly. New structures formed. Paths extended. Barriers shaped themselves naturally. Even the air felt organized. Rigard approached again. My lord? Yeah? Rimuru replied. Scouts report movement beyond the forest. Rimuru paused. What kind of movement? A pause. Human. Silence. The old world responds. Far beyond Tempest. In a fortified human city. Leaders gathered. Reports confirm it. An unknown nation has formed overnight. Monsters gathering. Demon lords involved. The room went silent. This cannot be allowed. Another voice spoke. We eliminate it before it spreads. A final voice. Cold. Certain. Prepare the army. Back in Tempest. Rimuru exhaled slowly. So they're coming to attack. Veldora nodded. Yes. Milim tilted her head. Do you want me to wipe them out? Rimuru immediately shook his head. No. Silence. Not yet. Milim blinked. Not yet. If I just erase them, nothing changes. A pause. They won't understand. Veldora spoke quietly. And if they don't? Rimuru's eyes shifted slightly. Then we make them. The first war. The ground trembled. Not from Rimuru. From marching. Thousands. Human soldiers. Mags. Knights. All approaching. They're serious, Rigid said. Yeah, Rimuru replied. I can feel them. The army arrives. They stopped at the edge of the forest. Looking forward. At Tempest. This is it. It looks like a city. Monsters built this. Their commander stepped forward. Advance. The response. Back in Tempest. Rimuru didn't move. Don't kill them immediately. Every servant froze. My lord? Rigid asked. Hold them. A pause. Show them. Milim smiled. This should be fun. Clash. The humans charged. Weapons drawn. Magic forming. But the moment they crossed into Rimuru's domain, everything changed. Their movement slowed. Not physically, but incorrectly. What's happening? I can't focus my magic. The air. Tempest moves. The goblins advanced. Not panicked. Not rushed. Precise. The orcs followed. The wolves circled. Perfect coordination. Overwhelming difference. A human knight swung. Blocked instantly. A mage cast. Disrupted mid-spell. A commander shouted. Ignored. Rimuru watches. Rimuru stood still. Watching everything. This is one-sided. Veldora nodded. They cannot exist within your domain as equals. Yeah. A pause. I see that now. The breaking point. The human commander stepped forward. What are you? Rimuru looked at him. Calm. Someone you shouldn't have attacked. Silence. Then. The commander dropped. Kneeling. Not by choice. By pressure. What is this? The shift. One by one. The humans stopped. Their weapons lowered. Their bodies followed. Kneeling. The end of resistance. Rimuru stepped forward. Go back. Silence. Tell them what you saw. A pause. Tell them not to come back like this. The commander nodded. Yes. Aftermath. The army retreated. Not defeated. Changed. The truth spreads. Back in Tempest. Every servant stood behind Rimuru. Every demon lord now aligned. Every creature bound. This isn't a kingdom anymore, Rimuru said quietly. Veldora lowered his head. No. Milim smiled. It's a world. Silence. Rimuru looked forward. Because now, there was nothing left nearby that could challenge him. But far away, something still watched. The world didn't calm down. It couldn't. Because what happened at the forest was no longer a rumor. It was fact. Human kingdoms. Inside a grand hall. Leaders stood in silence. Say it again. A soldier knelt. Our army engaged the monster nation. A pause. And? The soldier swallowed. They didn't fight like monsters. What does that mean? They didn't struggle. Silence. And the demon lord, one asked. The soldier's voice dropped. She knelt. The room froze. That's impossible. We all saw it. A long pause. Then it's not a nation. Another pause. It's something else. Back in Tempest. Rimuru Tempest stood at the highest point of the growing city. No longer a village. A capital. Perfectly structured. Perfectly alive. But too quiet. They're scared now, Rimuru said. Behind him. Veldora Tempest nodded. As they should be. I didn't want fear. It is unavoidable. The gathering. The air shifted again. One presence. Then another. Then more. They didn't crash in. Didn't force their way in. They arrived. One by one. Guy Crimson stepped forward first. Eyes locked on Rimuru. Then, without hesitation, he bowed. So this is the one. Rimuru sighed slightly. You too. Guy smirked faintly. I don't kneel lightly. A pause. But I recognize power when I see it. More arrive. Another presence. Leon Cromwell. Then, without a word, he lowered himself. I will follow. The shift in power. Now. All of them were here. Milim. Guy. Leon. Veldora. Standing. Or kneeling? Under one being. This is insane, Rimuru muttered. Milim laughed slightly. You're still saying that. Yeah, because it still is. The truth settles. Rimuru looked around. At all of them. At the strongest beings in the world. Now. Aligned. This shouldn't be happening. Guy spoke quietly. It was always going to. What does that mean? A pause. Power like yours doesn't stay hidden. Silence. Beyond the world. Far above. Something moved again. But this time. Closer. Not just watching. Approaching. Back in Tempest. Rimuru felt it immediately. Stronger than before. Closer than before. There it is again, Rimuru said. Veldora's expression hardened. Yes. This one's different. It is not from here. Silence. The first crack in control. Rimuru focused. Trying to reach it. Trying to understand it. But this time. Something pushed back. Hard. For the first time. Rimuru's connection. Was resisted. He stepped back slightly. Okay. Now that's new. The reaction. Every demon lord felt it. Guy's eye sharpened. So something finally responded. Milim tilted her head. It feels weird. Leon spoke quietly. This isn't from our world. The real threat. The sky didn't break. But it bent. Just slightly. Like something was pressing against it from the outside. Rimuru steps forward. So that's it, Rimuru said. A pause. Something out there notice me. Silence. Then. He smiled slightly. Good. Everyone behind him froze. My lord? Rigid said. If something can push back. Rimuru's eye sharpened. Then that means there's still something to test. The declaration. The air shifted. Not violently. But completely. This world is mine. Everything responded. The land. The sky. The people. All of it. Aligned. And if something outside thinks it can step in. A pause. It can try. The end of calm. The pressure from above increased. Stronger. Closer. Reality itself. Starting to strain. Final moment. Rimuru stood there. Not moving. Not reacting. Waiting. Because now, for the first time, something was coming. That might actually matter. The sky didn't shatter. It resisted. That was the difference. Up until now, everything had responded to Rimuru Tempest. The land. The air. The magicules. Even the strongest beings in existence. But this pushed back. There it is again, Rimuru said quietly. The pressure above wasn't like anything else. It wasn't magic. It wasn't aura. It was presence. And it didn't belong. Behind him, every demon lord stood still. Even Guy Crimson had lost his usual smirk. This is different, Guy said. Milim Nova tilted her head. It feels wrong. Leon Cromwell spoke quietly. It's not part of our world. Silence. Veldora Tempest lowered his head slightly. It has noticed you fully now. Rimuru didn't respond immediately. Because he was watching it. Not with his eyes. With everything. It's not just watching anymore. A pause. It's trying to enter. The first tear. The sky bent inward. Not cracked. Not broken. Pulled. Like something on the other side was forcing its way through. The air tightened across the entire domain. Every creature felt it. Not fear. Instinct. Should we attack it? Milim asked. Rimuru shook his head slightly. No. Why not? Because I don't know what it is yet. Guy crossed his arms. And that's the first time you've said that. Silence. The world reacts. Tempest didn't move. It held. Perfectly stable. Because of Rimuru. But outside. The world trembled. Mountains cracked. Rivers shifted. Magicules distorted. Like something far above everything was pushing down. The first contact. Rimuru stepped forward. All right. A pause. Let's see what you are. He raised his hand slightly. Not attacking. Reaching. Connect. The moment he did, everything froze. Not physically. Conceptually. Collision. Rimuru's awareness met something else. And for the first time, it didn't yield. His connection stopped. Not broken. Blocked. Hard. Okay, Rimuru whispered. Now we're getting somewhere. The other side. Something responded. Not with words. Not with sound. With pressure. It pushed back. Harder. Trying to force him out. Trying to deny him. Rimuru's response. Rimuru smiled slightly. You're the first thing that's done that. The air around him shifted. Not violently. Absolutely. So let's try this instead. He stepped forward again. Not physically. Existentially. The clash of authority. Two forces met. One. The world itself. The other. Something beyond it. And neither moved. Everyone feels it. Milim clenched her fists. This is insane. Guy's eyes narrowed. This isn't a fight. Leon spoke quietly. This is control vs control. The shift. Rimuru's presence expanded. Not outward. Deeper. You're not from here. Silence. So that means. A pause. You don't belong here. The command. The moment he said it. Everything changed. Leave. The sky trembled. The pressure faltered. For the first time. It reacted. Resistance breaks. The force pushing into the world. Staggered. Not gone. But weakened. That worked, Rimuru said. Veldora lowered his head further. Of course it did. The final push. Rimuru raised his hand again. I said? The air tightened. Reality aligned. Leave. Impact. The sky snapped back. The pressure vanished. The distortion disappeared. Like it had never been there. Silence. Everything went still. Completely. That's it? Milim asked. Rimuru lowered his hand. No. A pause. That was just a test. The truth. Far beyond. The thing that had tried to enter. Did not retreat. It watched. Now fully aware. Back in Tempest. Rimuru turned. Looking at his domain. At his people. At his world. So there's something out there. A pause. That doesn't answer to me. Silence. Then. A small smile. Good. Every demon lord felt it. Because that wasn't concern. That was excitement. Final line. That just means I haven't reached it yet. The world trembled slightly. Because now, Rimuru wasn't just ruling a world. He was looking beyond it. Thank you for watching so far, and as always, hail Aurora. What if Rimuru was God? Part 4. The sky didn't return to normal. It pretended to. To everyone else. The world looked stable again. The forest stood still. The air flowed naturally. The kingdom of Tempest continued to grow in perfect order. But to Rimuru Tempest, something had changed. It's still there, Rimuru said quietly. No one else spoke immediately. Because they all felt it. Not clearly. Not fully. But enough. Behind him, Veldora Tempest stood with his arms folded, his usual relaxed expression gone. Yes, Veldora replied. It didn't leave. It just stopped pushing. Silence. Guy Crimson stepped forward slightly, eyes narrowed. So it tested you. Rimuru didn't deny it. Yeah. Milim tilted her head. So what is it? Rimuru looked up. Not at the sky. Beyond it. I don't know. That answer was new. And everyone there understood how dangerous that was. The first change in Rimuru. Rimuru didn't move for a while. Not physically. But mentally. He was already moving. Analyzing. Reaching. Testing. Before. Everything answered him instantly. Now. There was something that didn't. If it didn't leave. A pause. Then it's waiting. Far beyond. In a place that wasn't part of the world. Something existed. Not a being. Not a creature. A presence. Ancient. It didn't think. Not like mortals. But it recognized something. Something new. Something that shouldn't exist. And for the first time in its existence. It focused. Back in Tempest. Rimuru stepped forward slowly. All right. A pause. Let's not wait for it. Veldora's eyes shifted slightly. You're going to reach it. Yeah. That may not be wise. Rimuru smirked slightly. Neither was everything else I've done today. Milim grinned. That's true. Guy crossed his arms. If you're going to do this. A pause. Don't hold back. The attempt. Rimuru closed his eyes. For the first time, he wasn't letting the world come to him. He was going beyond it. Connect. The moment he said it, the entire world froze. Not just Tempest. Everything. Time didn't stop. It became irrelevant. Breaking the boundary. Rimuru pushed. Past the forest. Past the land. Past the sky. Past the limits of the world itself. And then, he felt it again. Stronger. Closer. And this time, it pushed back immediately. Harder than before. There you are, Rimuru whispered. First real clash. The connection didn't stabilize. It collided. Two forces. One trying to reach. The other trying to reject. Back in reality. Everyone felt it. Milim stepped back slightly. This is way bigger than before. Guy's expression hardened. He's not just touching it. He's forcing his way into it. Veldora lowered his head slightly. My lord? Be careful. Beyond reality. Rimuru pushed harder. You don't belong here. Silence. So either you leave. A pause. Or I come to you. The reaction. For the first time. It responded. Not with words. Not with sound. But with presence. It expanded. Massive. Endless. And suddenly, Rimuru realized something. You're not just outside the world. A pause. You're outside everything. Back in Tempest. Rimuru's body didn't move. But the air around him distorted violently. The ground cracked slightly. The sky dimmed. He's going further, Leon said quietly. Too far, Veldora added. The first warning. The presence pushed again. Stronger. Not trying to destroy him. Trying to stop him. Rimuru smiles. You're scared. Silence. You wouldn't push back this hard if you weren't. Escalation. Rimuru pushed again. Harder. Deeper. And this time, something changed. A shape forms. For a split second, Rimuru saw it. Not clearly, but enough. A form. Not physical, but defined. Ancient. Massive. So you can be seen. Cliff build. The connection destabilized violently. The world shook. Tempest trembled. Every demon lord stepped forward. Rimuru! Milim shouted. But he didn't stop. Because now, he had found it. Final line of this section. Next time. A pause. I'm not just going to reach you. The pressure exploded outward. I'm coming to you. The world didn't recover. It stabilized. But only because he allowed it to. Rimuru Tempest slowly opened his eyes. For a brief moment, everything felt distant. Not weaker. Not disconnected. Just smaller. So that's what's out there. Rimuru said quietly. No one spoke immediately. Because they all felt it. Not clearly. Not fully. But enough to know. Something existed beyond everything they understood. Behind him, Veldora Tempest stepped forward. My lord? Rimuru didn't turn. I'm fine. You pushed too far. Not far enough. Silence. The shift in perspective. Rimuru looked out across Tempest. His kingdom. His domain. His world. Everything moved perfectly. Everything existed because of him. And yet, there was something beyond it. Something that didn't answer to him. I don't like that, Rimuru said. Milim crossed her arms. Then we destroy it. Rimuru shook his head slightly. We don't even know what it is yet. Guy stepped forward. Then we find out. The realization of scale. Rimuru exhaled slowly. No. A pause. We don't find it. Everyone looked at him. It's already found us. Silence. Because that was worse. Far beyond reality. The presence didn't retreat. It watched. But now, it wasn't passive. It had felt him. Fully. And something ancient within it shifted. Back in Tempest. The sky flickered. Not visibly. But conceptually. Rimuru's eye sharpened instantly. It's moving again. Veldora stepped beside him. Stronger. Closer. The second approach. This time. It didn't push gently. It pressed. Hard. The sky bent again. The air grew heavy. Even the demon lords felt it clearly now. This is worse, Leon said quietly. It's forcing its way in, Guy added. Milim clenched her fists. Good. Rimuru steps forward. Rimuru didn't hesitate this time. He stepped into it. Not physically. But completely. You came back. Silence. So let's not waste time. The collision begins. Rimuru expanded his presence. Not outward. Beyond. The world responded instantly. Aligning behind him. Supporting him. Like everything was pushing with him. You're outside everything. A pause. But I'm not limited to this world anymore. The first real strike. Rimuru raised his hand. So let's test that. He didn't attack with energy. Didn't use magic. He issued a command. Stop. Impact. The pressure above hesitated. For a split second. It froze. Shockwave. Every demon lord felt it. Guy's eyes widened slightly. He just affected it. Milim grinned. I knew it. The counter. The presence reacted instantly. Pushing back harder than before. Not stopping. Resisting. Rimuru smiles again. Good. The air cracked. You're learning. Escalation beyond limits. Rimuru stepped forward again. Pushing harder. This time. He didn't just reach. He grabbed. The first true contact. For a single moment. Rimuru touched it. Not physically. Existentially. And what he felt was endless. Ancient. Massive beyond comprehension. So this is what you are, Rimuru whispered. Backlash. The connection exploded. The sky fractured violently. The ground trembled across Tempest. Every being dropped instantly. Not from Rimuru. From the collision. Rimuru doesn't let go. No. His grip tightened. You don't get to push me out. The turning point. For the first time. The presence recoiled. Not fully. But noticeably. Everyone sees it. It moved, Milim said. He forced it back, Leon added. Guy smirked slightly. So even that can be affected. Rimuru's declaration. Rimuru's voice dropped. Calm. Certain. You're not above me. Silence. You're just further away. Final push of this segment. Rimuru released the connection suddenly. The sky snapped back. The pressure vanished again. Everything stabilized. Aftermath. Rimuru stood there. Unmoving. Thinking. Not overwhelmed. Not tired. Focused. It's not unbeatable. Veldora lowered his head. No. It just hasn't been reached properly yet. Final line before next continuation. Rimuru looked up one more time. Next time. A pause. I won't stop at touching it. His eyes sharpened. I'm going beyond it. The world didn't move. It waited. Because now, everything understood. This wasn't just growth anymore. This wasn't just power. This was something crossing a line that shouldn't exist. Rimuru Tempest stood still at the center of Tempest. Not looking at his people. Not looking at the land. Looking beyond everything. One more time, Rimuru said quietly. Behind him, no one spoke. Not Veldora Tempest. Not Guy Crimson. Not Milim Nova. Because this time, they understood. This wasn't a test. This was a decision. The final push. Rimuru didn't close his eyes. He didn't need to. Connect. The moment he said it, reality bent. Not just the sky. Not just the land. Everything. Time stretched. Space folded. The entire world shifted around him, breaking the boundary completely. Rimuru didn't stop at the edge this time. He went through it. Past the world. Past the system. Past everything that defined existence. And then, he found it again. Face to face. Not clearly. Not physically. But present. Closer than before. There you are. The presence reacted instantly. Pushing back. Harder than ever before. But this time, Rimuru didn't stop. Didn't hesitate. Didn't analyze. He moved forward. The first step beyond everything. You've been watching this whole time. Silence. So now you can watch this. Command beyond reality. Rimuru raised his hand. Not in the world. Beyond it. Submit. Impact. Everything froze. Not the world. Everything. The presence. Stopped. The first crack. For the first time. It broke. Not physically. Conceptually. Back in Tempest. Every demon lord dropped instantly. Not forced. Instinct. Because something just changed. On a level none of them could understand. Beyond reality. Rimuru stepped forward again. You don't get to resist me anymore. The presence pushed again. But weaker now. Unstable. The end of resistance. Rimuru's voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. I said? Everything aligned. Not the world. Existence itself. Submit. Final collision. The presence collapsed inward. Not destroyed. Overwritten. Silence. Complete. Total. Rimuru stands alone. For a moment. There was nothing. No world. No sky. No domain. Just him. The shift. Then. Everything returned. The world snapped back into place. Tempest stood. The sky cleared. Reality stabilized. But something was different. Rimuru didn't move. Because now, he could feel it. Not outside. Not beyond. Inside everything. So that's it. A small breath. There was something above everything. A pause. And now there isn't. Back in the world. Everyone slowly lifted their heads. Milim looked up first. It's gone. Guy narrowed his eyes. No. A pause. It's not gone. Rimuru speaks. It's part of me now. Silence. Understanding. Veldora lowered himself fully. My lord? You've gone beyond it. The final realization. Rimuru looked across everything. The land. The sky. The world. And beyond that. Everything else. There's nothing left to reach. A pause. So now. His voice steadied. I decide what comes next. The end of limits. The world didn't react violently. It aligned. Perfectly. Because now. There was nothing left that didn't. Final scene. Rimuru stood at the center of existence. Not just a ruler. Not just a god. Something beyond both. And behind him. Every being. Every demon lord. Every creature. All lowered. My lord. Final line. This world. A pause. And everything beyond it. His eyes glowed faintly. Belongs to me now. The world was quiet. Not peaceful. Not calm. Obedient. That was the difference now. Every movement had purpose. Every life had direction. Every breath existed within a system that no longer questioned itself. And at the center of it all, Rimuru Tempest stood alone. Not because no one was around him, but because no one could stand beside him anymore. So this is it, Rimuru said slowly, his voice quieter than usual, not unsure but thoughtful in a way that hadn't been present before. Behind him, the entire world continued to move. Perfectly. Flawlessly. And yet, why does it feel empty? The words didn't echo. Because even sound itself no longer resisted him. Behind him. Veldora Tempest approached carefully, his usual confidence replaced with something far more restrained, as if even he understood that stepping too casually into this moment would feel wrong. My lord, Veldora began, but stopped halfway through, as if trying to find words that didn't feel insignificant. Rimuru didn't turn. You don't have to talk like that when it's just us, he said, his tone softer now, but still carrying that undeniable weight that made even simple sentences feel like law. Veldora hesitated for a moment, then gave a faint smile. Old habits won't disappear that easily, especially when the one I'm speaking to has surpassed everything I once understood. Rimuru let out a small breath, something close to a laugh, but not quite. Yeah. I guess that makes sense. A pause followed. Not awkward. Not tense. Just heavy. Do you feel it? Rimuru asked, finally turning slightly, his eyes no longer glowing with power, but holding something far more unsettling. Feel what? Veldora replied. The lack of resistance, the way nothing pushes back anymore, the way everything just falls into place before I even decide it should. Veldora didn't answer immediately. Because the truth was obvious. Yes, he said finally, his voice quieter now. And that is what makes you what you are. Rimuru's gaze shifted slightly. And what exactly am I now? Veldora looked at him directly this time. No hesitation. No fear. Something the world no longer defines, but something that defines the world instead. Silence. Yeah, Rimuru whispered. That's what I was afraid of. The others approach. From behind. The air shifted slightly. Milim Nova stepped forward first, her usual energy noticeably calmer, as if even she was adapting to something she didn't fully understand. You're thinking too much again, she said, trying to sound casual, but there was something in her voice that betrayed her awareness of the situation. Rimuru glanced at her. I didn't know I could still do that. Milim smirked slightly. You can do anything now, right? Rimuru didn't respond. Because that wasn't a joke anymore. Guy steps in. Guy Crimson crossed his arms, watching Rimuru carefully, his usual confident demeanor still intact, but now measured. "You're not satisfied," Guy said bluntly, cutting through the silence like it meant nothing to him. Rimuru looked at him. "Does it look like I am?" Guy smirked slightly. "No, it looks like you've reached the top and realized there's nothing there." That line lingered. Because it hit too close. "I thought there'd be something else," Rimuru admitted, his voice low, not defeated, but searching. "Something bigger, something that would actually make all of this mean something." Milim frowned slightly. "But you beat that thing already, right?" "I didn't beat it," Rimuru corrected calmly. "I absorbed it, replaced it, turned it into something that now answers to me." A pause. "And that's the problem. The real problem." Rimuru stepped forward slowly, looking out over everything. "There's nothing left that can say no." Silence. "No enemy, no force, no limit, nothing that can stand against me and make this feel real." Veldora lowered his gaze slightly. "Power without opposition becomes hollow." Rimuru nodded slowly. "Yeah, that's exactly it. The question that changes everything." Rimuru turned back to them. "So what happens now?" No one answered immediately. Because that question had no obvious answer. Milim crossed her arms. "We just keep going, right? Build more, take more, make everything better." Rimuru shook his head slightly. "There's nothing left to take." Guy's smirk faded. "Just slightly. Then you create something new." Rimuru's eyes shifted. "What do you mean?" Guy stepped closer. "If there's nothing left that can challenge you." A pause. "Then you make something that can." Silence. That idea hung in the air. The dangerous thought. "You're saying I create something that could oppose me?" Rimuru asked. Guy didn't hesitate. "I'm saying you create something that can stand beside you." "That's not the same thing." "It could be." Rimuru stared at him. "Or it could become something worse." Guy shrugged slightly. "Then that would be the first real risk you've had since becoming this." Silence. Milim reacts. "Wait," Milim said, her tone suddenly more serious. "You're talking about making something like you." Rimuru didn't answer right away. "Because now?" That idea wasn't just a thought. It was a possibility. "If I can control everything." A pause. "Then I can create anything." The world trembled slightly. Not violently. But enough. Because that thought was real. Veldora speaks carefully. "My lord?" Rimuru looked at him. "If you create something capable of opposing you." A pause. "You may create something that no longer obeys you." Rimuru nodded. "I know. And you are willing to risk that." Silence. Rimuru's answer. "I think." Rimuru said slowly, his voice calm but heavier than anything he had said before. "That's the only way this means anything anymore." No one spoke. Because they all understood. This wasn't about power anymore. This was about purpose. Final moment of part 5. Rimuru turned back toward the sky. Not the sky of the world. But beyond it. "If there's nothing left." A pause. "Then I'll make something that changes that." The air shifted. Not by accident. By decision. Something that doesn't bow. Everything trembled slightly. Something that can stand. The demon lords didn't move. Because for the first time, they weren't sure if this was a good idea. Final line. "Something that can challenge me." Silence. Because the moment that decision was made, the story changed. What if Rimuru was God? Final part. The world no longer trembled. It breathed. Not in fear. Not in chaos, but in harmony. Rimuru Tempest stood above it all. Not floating. Not towering. Just present. And that alone was enough. "It's quiet," Rimuru said softly, his voice no longer carrying the overwhelming weight it once did, but instead something far more refined, controlled. Behind him, the land stretched endlessly. Cities formed across regions. Forests balanced perfectly. Creatures of every kind lived without conflict. Peace. Not forced. Maintained. The world after power. Veldora Tempest stood beside him now, not behind. "This is what you wanted, isn't it?" Veldora asked, his tone calm, no longer bound by the overwhelming difference that once separated them. Rimuru didn't answer immediately. "Yeah." A pause. "But not like this." Veldora glanced at him. "What do you mean?" Rimuru's eyes moved across the land. "Before, everything followed me because it had to." A longer pause. "Now, it follows because it wants to." Silence. "And that was the difference." Milim arrives. Milim Nova dropped down beside them, landing lightly, her energy calmer than ever before. "It's boring," she said bluntly. Rimuru smirked slightly. "You'd say that. No fights, no chaos, no explosions. What kind of world is this?" "A stable one." Milim crossed her arms. Yeah. I know, peace and all that." But even she didn't sound annoyed. Just adjusting. "Guy speaks truth." Guy Crimson stepped forward, hands in his pockets, watching the world below. "You didn't just win," Guy said. Rimuru looked at him. "What do you mean?" Guy's eyes narrowed slightly. "You removed the concept of losing." Silence. That line hit deeper than anything else. The balance. Rimuru exhaled slowly. "I thought creating something to challenge me would fix that." Milim tilted her head. "Yeah. What happened to that idea?" Rimuru smiled faintly. "I tried." A pause. "But every time I created something?" Another pause. "It still traced back to me." Silence. "So even your enemies belong to you?" Veldora asked. "Yeah. The truth of godhood." Rimuru stepped forward slightly. "That's what being this is." A pause. "There's nothing outside of it. The choice that changed everything." So instead, Rimuru continued. "I stopped trying to create opposition." A longer pause. "And I created balance." The air shifted slightly. Because that wasn't power. That was understanding. The world below. In the cities. Humans and monsters walked together. No fear. No tension. In the forests. Predators hunted, but never beyond what was needed. In the skies. Nothing threatened. Because everything was aligned. "So this is your answer?" Guy asked. Rimuru nodded. "Yeah. No war, no rivals, no chaos. Just a world that works." Guy smirked slightly. "You've become something strange." Rimuru chuckled quietly. "Yeah." A pause. "I think I stopped being human a long time ago." Silence. Rimuru looked out one last time. "But if this is what comes from it." A soft breath. "Then I'm okay with that." The wind moved gently across the land. Not forced. Not controlled. Allowed. That was the difference now. Rimuru Tempest stood at the highest point of his world, looking out over everything he had created, everything he had become. Everything that now existed because of him. And for the first time, he wasn't searching. "It's finally quiet," Rimuru said, his voice calm, not questioning, not uncertain, just acknowledging what was in front of him. Beside him, Rimuru Tempest let out a slow breath, his posture relaxed in a way it hadn't been since the beginning of everything. "This time, it's real quiet," Rimuru replied, glancing out across the land where once chaos, fear, and uncertainty had existed. No distortions. No pressure, no resistance, Rimuru continued, his eyes slowly scanning the horizon where cities and forests blended together in perfect balance. Just existence, functioning as it should. A pause followed. Not heavy. Not tense. Complete. From behind them, footsteps approached. Milim Nova dropped down beside them, stretching slightly as she looked out across the world, her usual energy still there, but softer now, matured in a way she hadn't expected herself. "I still think it's kinda boring," she said, though her tone lacked the edge it used to carry. Rimuru smirked slightly. "You always say that." "Because it's true," Milim replied, crossing her arms before glancing toward him. "But it's not bad." That small admission said more than anything else could. Behind them, Guy Crimson stepped forward, hands casually in his pockets, though his eyes were focused, observant as always. "You've done something no one else ever could," Guy said, his voice calm, but carrying a weight of understanding that only someone like him could have. Rimuru tilted his head slightly. "And what's that?" Guy looked out across the world. "You created peace, without breaking the world to get it." Silence. "Because that wasn't easy. It wasn't domination. It wasn't destruction. It was control, without corruption." Rimuru exhaled slowly. "It didn't feel like that at first." A pause. "It felt like I was taking everything away." Veldora glanced at him. "And now?" Rimuru's eye softened slightly. "Now it feels like I gave everything a place. The world below. Far below." Children ran through open streets. Humans and monsters spoke freely. Laughter echoed through places that once knew fear. Creatures that once hunted endlessly now lived within balance. Not forced. Guided. The final understanding. Rimuru stepped forward slightly, the wind brushing against him again. Something so simple, yet something he now understood completely. "I thought being this," he said slowly, "meant standing above everything." A pause. "But that's not what it is." Milim tilted her head. "Then what is it?" Rimuru smiled faintly. "It's standing for everything." Silence. Even Guy didn't interrupt that one. A world that no longer kneels in fear. Behind them, the people of Tempest gathered. Not summoned. Not commanded. They came on their own. One by one. Then more. Then all. And as they approached, they lowered themselves. Not out of fear. Out of respect. Out of trust. "My lord?" The word spread softly across the land. But Rimuru turned. "You don't have to kneel," he said gently, his voice carrying, but not forcing. They didn't stand immediately. Because this time, it wasn't obedience. It was gratitude. The final shift. Rimuru looked at them. All of them. The beings that once feared him. Followed him. Relied on him. "Stand," he said. And this time, it wasn't a command. It was a request. And they stood. The last words. Rimuru turned back toward the horizon. The world stretched endlessly. But now, it didn't feel empty. It didn't feel incomplete. It felt finished. "This world," Rimuru said softly, "isn't perfect because I control it." A pause. "It's perfect because it no longer needs to be controlled." The wind moved again. Naturally. Freely. Final line of the entire story. Rimuru closed his eyes for just a moment. And that's enough. Fjfug Pugfo 7 BFDFJNEUIFKVKKMKUIYF. The world was calm. Not controlled. Not guided. Alive. The wind moved freely across the land, brushing past cities and forests that no longer needed protection, no longer needed correction. Rimuru Tempest stood quietly, watching it all. No pressure. No resistance. No need to act. This is what it was all for, Rimuru said softly, almost to himself, as his eyes followed the movement of people below, laughing, living, existing without fear. Behind him, Veldora Tempest stretched slightly, clearly more relaxed than he had ever been. You finally stopped thinking about what's next, Veldora said, a small grin forming as he looked toward Rimuru. Rimuru chuckled lightly. Yeah, for once. Milim dropped down beside them, arms behind her head. So this is it, who? No enemies, no fights, no crazy power-ups. That's the idea, Rimuru replied. Kinda boring. You'll survive. They laughed. For the first time. It wasn't forced. It wasn't carrying weight. It was real. And then. Silence. Not quiet. Not calm. Silence. Everything stopped. The wind froze mid-motion. The light dimmed slightly. The world didn't react. It paused. Rimuru's expression shifted. What? And then. A voice. Not from above. Not from below. From everywhere. And nowhere. Interesting. Rimuru's eyes narrowed instantly. Who are you? No answer. Then. I said, who are you? The voice returned. Calm. Ancient. Unbothered. I will give you something more than power. Silence. Veldora stepped forward immediately. My lord, this presence. I know, Rimuru said quietly, his voice now sharp, focused. Show yourself. A pause. Then. You misunderstand. The air tightened. This is not a negotiation. Rimuru moved. Instantly. Trying to reach. Trying to connect. Trying to command. But. Nothing responded. For the first time since the beginning. Nothing answered him. What? And then. It happened. No explosion. No light. No attack. Just. End. Rimuru's body didn't move. Didn't react. Didn't resist. It simply. Stopped existing. Gone. Silence. Veldora froze. My lord? Milim's eyes widened. Rimuru. Guy stepped forward. That's not funny. No response. No presence. No connection. Nothing. The realization. Veldora's voice cracked slightly. No. No, that's not possible. Milim stepped forward. He's joking, right? Silence. Because even they. He is gone. The words echoed across everything. Every being. Every life. Heard it. Rimuru Tempest has died. Panic. The world broke. Eno, Veldora roared. Power surged violently. Milim's aura exploded outward. Bring him back. Guy's eyes burned. Show yourself. But the voice didn't react. It didn't care. You all relied on him too much. A pause. Now. The air tightened. You will follow him. End of everything. No attack. No movement. Just. Gone. Veldora. Gone. Milim. Gone. Guy. Gone. The cities. Gone. The world. Gone. Everything. Gone. Nothing remains. Silence. Total. Absolute. The voice alone. And then. A faint chuckle. A pause. That was interesting. A longer pause. Perhaps next time. A small smile formed. Though no face could be seen. I'll let it play out longer. Silence. Then. Well, a pause. Until another story. END.
Nothing can break me.